Good morning, class. So I'm not with you today to teach you the lesson, but I did want to teach you. So good morning and welcome. We are talking about characters and we're talking about theme, and today we're going to talk about a new topic, all right? Today I want to teach you that good readers think about the chapters and scenes of a story and how they fit together to better understand the characters and overall theme of a story. All right, so right now I want to focus on a book that I really like called Shiloh. Some of you may have heard of it, all right? So I'm going to think about the book Shiloh. I know that in the book Shiloh, at the very beginning of the story, there's a character named Marty. He finds this dog named Shiloh, and he realizes that he's an abused and neglected animal, and he starts to feel compassion for him, all right? But Marty also realizes he's poor and his family's poor and they can't take on the responsibility of feeding another mouth. So Marty is determined, though, to keep Shiloh in his life. So in the end, Marty proves to be responsible enough to take on the task of providing for Shiloh. The structure of events work together because the author is showing us why Marty has to work hard to save Shiloh. That persistency is key, and that when you care enough about something, you're willing to go to great measures to sacrifice for it. So that provides events in the story an overall structure for those events. All right? So the dog was abused and neglected, and they couldn't take care of the dog, but by the end of the story, Marty was able to prove that he could take care of the dog. All right, so I want you to watch me do this work in Loser. All right, so we're going to first look at Miss Biswell, right? So I'm going to turn to page 50 when we first meet Miss Biswell. And this, at the very beginning of the story with Mrs. Biswell, we know how Zinkoff first is, right? So let me read this part to you. Second grade is no more than a minute old when Zinkoff gets on the wrong foot with his teacher. He asks her how many days of school are left. Not in this year, but in all remaining 11 years. The teacher, whose name is Mrs. Biswell, thinks it's the most annoying, untimely question she has ever heard. Here she is, all bright and shiny for the first day, and this kid in the front row can't wait till he graduates from high school. It's insulting and disrespectful. She comes closer than she has ever before to saying, "That's a dumb question." Instead, she says, "Don't worry about it. You'll be out of school soon enough." Zinkoff has no intention of worrying about it, and he certainly doesn't want to be out of school. He simply wants to hear her say a really big number in the thousands so he can feel the days in school will never come to an end. He has thought every teacher starts out the school year like Miss Meeks, but now he guesses wrong. So right here from the very beginning, we already noticed the happy-go-lucky Zinkoff that we've noticed from the beginning. Very energetic. He loves school. He loves to be there, right? But I want you to notice the shift in his character that we start to see by the end of his time with Ms. Biswell. Okay? So I'm going to turn to page 57 now. And I want you to be thinking about his shift in character. Okay? So this is whenever he uses her green board and chalk. "Out, out, out," screams Mrs. Biswell. She stands in the doorway pointing down the hall. "Get out of my classroom and never come back." Zinkoff gets out. In a daze, he leaves the room and walks down the hallway. He flinches one final time as the classroom door slams shut behind him. He walks until he comes to the door at the end of the hall. He opens it and goes outside and keeps on walking. He walks for a long time, feeling behind his head the pointing finger of Mrs. Biswell. All right? So right here, I'm thinking about the shift with him, right? So he went on all happy-go-lucky, and now he's been scolded by his teacher, and she told him to never come back. So I want you to think about how that must make him feel, all right? So think about how that must make him feel as a person. Think about how it must make you feel if I were to say to you, "Get out of my room and never come back." So he was all happy and excited, and now he just is dazed and has no idea how he must feel, all right? So now we're going to turn to a new place in the story, and I want you to be thinking about how the chapters in the story fit together for the overall structure of the story. Okay? So again, we know the character of Zinkoff, and we know how he typically acts. But here, he starts to change. And I want you to be thinking about that as it fits together through the overall structure of the story. Okay? So here is the part about field day. The purples tear off their headbands. They slam them to the ground, stomp them into the yellow dust. Zinkoff is bent over, gasping from his great effort, catching his breath. Haben comes to him. He kicks dust over Zinkoff's sneakers. Zinkoff looks up. Haben sneers. You're a loser. A stinking loser. Other purples pile on. Yeah, you stink at everything. Why do you even do stuff? Yeah, why do you even get out of bed in the morning? He probably even screws that up. One purple shakes his fist. We could have had medals. They file by. Some whisper the word. Some say it aloud. Each pronounces it perfectly. Loser. 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 He hopes his parents won't ask him about field day at dinner, but they do. They say, how'd it go? How'd what go? He says. Field day. Okay, trying to sound like it's not worth talking about. Don't ask who won, he prays. And they don't. They ask, was it fun? And what was your favorite race? And did you get all sweaty? And he thinks he's out of the woods when Polly pipes up. Did you win? He screams at her, no, okay? So right now I want you to turn and talk about how this part of the chapter ties into the overall structure of the story. Go ahead and turn and talk. Three, two, one. Talking is done. I'm sure you had some great conversations about how this fit into the overall structure of the story and how we're realizing that, like at the beginning of the story with the not yet, it's now become a yet. All right? So he's realizing now, he's starting to notice that he's different and that he's standing out and that others are noticing and calling him a loser. So readers, today and every day as you read, I want you to hang on to each chapter and think about how it ties into the overall structure and theme of your story. All right? And so Miss Stewart's going to give you your task for today, and I want you to go off and read and have a great day.